Hey, good Saturday morning, everybody. It's Friday night, really, actually, in the West still, but it is Saturday morning in the East. We're after midnight tonight. I'm very sorry. We were going to come on tonight earlier and we were going to have a more involved Friday night. I have been battling fatigue, and it's just something I asked you to pray about. We're going to be on tomorrow night and sort of make up for it on the face side. We've got a gospel sing, and we're going to probably incorporate a time of prayer tomorrow night, a corporate prayer for the country. And we are grateful to have you. I've been struggling with this for a little bit. It's been, I don't know what it's been. I've been sort of battling this for about 2 weeks now, and I just get to Friday, and I'm just out of gas. And I'm a little concerned about it, but got some energy here, and we got several breaking news stories tonight. There's been a shooting in Concord, New Hampshire, Concord, North Carolina, which is a couple hours from here. A little community, I think, in the central part of North Carolina. It's near my nephew. It's not in Statesville, but it's in that general vicinity. They were lighting the Christmas tree tonight, and 6 people have been shot. No words of any fatalities, but I've read one report that there have been casualties. Another report says that that's unclear. We're going to look at some of the video from that, what happened tonight. Another major breaking story, Marjorie Taylor Greene, the representative from my home state of Georgia, has abruptly resigned tonight. Her last day in Congress will be January the 2nd. And that's going to leave the House with even a more thin margin unless Governor Kemp basically appoints a replacement. We're going to talk about that with you tonight as well. And then we got another story, of course, today. The huge story in D.C. was the visit to the White House by Mayor-elect Zohran Mandami. And a lot of mixed opinion about it out there. And I'm going to get your opinion about this too. I've got a question in the YouTube channel. Mandami made a lot of promises today that he was going to, it almost was if he was, I think, playing nice for the camera, playing nice for Trump. We're going to look at some of the video there. And my question to you is, do you believe him? Do you believe that he's going to go with what he said today as compared to what he's saying on the campaign trail? And I've got some thoughts on that I'm going to share with you here in a minute. But all those stories are breaking tonight, and I was going to sort of just tough it out and maybe regroup, but I just felt a little push here at the end with all these stories, and especially after I saw the shooting tonight, that we needed to come on at least for a little while. It's midnight, and again, you West Coast folks, it's just 9 o'clock, so this is a West Coast midnight special. We got some folks in the East up. It's 11 o'clock in Central Time Zone, 10 o'clock, so technically it's just a regular late night Mac Files. And it's good to see Cleo in the house with us this evening. Always good to see our cherished friend. And thank you, buddy. Good for having you in there tonight. And the Telegram room is a great place. She's got that link in there. It's the Mac Files News Network in Telegram. You can find us, and she's got the link there in the YouTube channel. It's good to see Carol, Mary, Sheila. Daspit's up with us tonight, and good to see you. And I know some of you I'm looking at, I can recognize your name by your email. Some of you I can't, but Susan Prousty, good to see you. Stephen Fanahoyt. And then all our folks in Facebook tonight, grateful to see. We've got a good audience popping in here. Joan, Pat, and Deb, and Dennis Floyd, good to see you. Cheryl White, and others. I know they'll be coming in later tonight, and I know a lot of folks will be watching it on replay. I want to go to Marjorie Taylor Greene first about her. We'll do that in a minute. I just want to give you my take on what I saw today in the White House. I was sitting at the house, and it happened around 4 o'clock, and I had a lot of mixed feelings. I was very curious about how this was all going to go down, because you have got literally the end of two political spectrums, the most extreme ends of political spectrums that you could have, literally, in Donald Trump and Zomar Mandami. I know there's been a lot of anxiety by the people of New York City, and rightfully so, that you've got a communist. Basically, the first time ever that a communist is going to be running a city this big. And not only that, but the age thing continues to bug at me and nag at me a little bit. I know he's 33. That ain't like he's 15 or something. But he's never held this kind of high office. And to be 33 years old, I've got my sons, two of my sons, one of them is the same age. And the other son is actually older. My eldest son is older than him. And I can only imagine them having to rule the city of New York, and that it's troubling. But I was curious what would come down. They met behind closed doors, and they ushered in the press. And I know I've watched the reaction out here on X and the Twitter world and the world of La La Land out there, and it's very mixed. Some of the MAGA people feel betrayed, and they expected Trump to read him the riot act publicly, and they expected Trump to, sort of be more pointed with his responses. And folks, when you're dealing as the President of the United States and a dignitary, you've got to put on as good a face as you can for the camera. It would have been unpresidential of President Trump to embarrass him. My personal feeling is that Trump read him the riot act behind the scenes, and he basically is telling him because Mandami has got a lot of big plans for his socialist push, but he don't have the money to do it. New York City's about broke, and he's going to have to get Kathy Hochul to go along with tax increases on the rich to finance his communist socialist plan, and that's a pipe dream. Some of these things that he's promised these kids, and these kids think it's going to be a slice of apple pie, and they're going to get free busing and free housing and free rent and all of this and free grocery stores. I mean, it's not even based upon common sense, let alone political reality, but it's not even based on just normal common sense reality, and it's not going to happen. But President Trump, I saw at times that when there were pointed questions from the media, and there were some actually good questions for a change that came to both him and Mandami about the situation, and they called Mandami out. One of them, I think it was Jack Pacebic, because he was talking about he was going to tax white people, white people's property, and Jack called him on the carpet, and Mandami was sort of backing up about that. And the other thing was where, Mandami just 2 weeks ago called Trump a fascist, and that he was Donald Trump's worst nightmare. He said that on June the 4th, he would be Donald Trump's worst nightmare. And Trump, I think, was very gracious to him when Jackie Heinrich asked him about that, and Trump just took his hand and sort of grabbed Mandami's coat in a sort of a cordial way, and he said, just say yes. It's too complicated to get into it. I've been called worse. Don't worry about it. Somebody asked about the dictator part, or the tyrant, or despot. It's what it was, the word despot. And Trump jokingly said, well, I've been called worse. Now, I get what Trump was doing. I know that Trump made some statements that has troubled some conservatives, and I just want to put your mind to rest, because I heard him say, as all of you did, that me and Mandami see things, that we got more in common than I thought we would have. And folks, let me just say this about Trump and these meetings like this, and it's maybe a lesson for us out here in the country. I've got a family member that is very, very liberal, and they stay at odds with the family because their views are so far out on that left-wing loon lynch that they know that most of us are conservative, and there's always this clash. It's just everything is an argument. It's hard to talk to them. It's hard to reason with them. They are very sensitive. They go out of their way to pick fights sometimes, and they sort of say things, some of the most ungodly, vile things you can say. And that puts us in a bad place. We either disfellowship with them, which I don't want to do, or we sometimes talk to them in a normal tone and try to get some kind of common ground of things we do agree on when they're talking rationally. And Trump, I think today, was trying to get inside this kid's head. I read one political commentator tonight, and I really believe this. Mandami was intimidated today. That was a different, this arrogance that he had exhibited out there on that political campaign trail, and this hardcore, I'm going to turn New York City into a Sharia law center. It wasn't flying in the White House. And Trump basically said it in not so many words, that it's Mandami's to either do good or he can ruin New York City. I mean, that's what I took away from it. That Trump was basically giving Mandami to say, look, I'm willing to work with you if you're going to do the right thing for the people in New York City. That's Trump's hometown. That's where Trump is from. And Trump's got an investment in it. And Trump would probably be a great mayor. He had even said that in the interview today. He said, look, I'd like to be the mayor of New York City one of these days. And who knows, that may not happen after he leaves the White House. But Trump's invested in New York City. Now, I guess the other question is, and I'll go back to my relative, do I believe at times that they're being sincere in what they're saying when they say they want to come to a consensus? No, I don't. Because I just know that a lot of times it's to pick and to cause friction and cause chaos and division. And I know good and well that what they say, they never praise Trump. It's nothing he can do is right. He could cure cancer and Trump would still be the devil in his eyes. Look, Mandami may have put on a show today, and he may be the biggest fake. He may be the biggest fraud in the world. I'm not even going to argue that with you tonight, and there's no need trying to convince me that he's the devil and, Trump was bad for having him there. Trump's got to have him there. I think it was constructive. I think that Trump got to know him, and I think Trump was sizing him up because Trump is one of these that he's a businessman. He negotiates, and I think in these deals that he makes, when you're dealing with somebody across the table, it's an adversary, you've got to get in their head to understand what they're going to do and try to figure out how you're going to deal with them. And Trump, to his credit, I think he even said as such, he said, I felt a lot of different things about him until today because I met him and talked to him. And I tell my loved one this all the time, if you would just sit down and listen to what our view is, you and I may have some common ground that we don't have to have this friction all the time between the two of us. And, and that is, folks, that's the nation right now. If we don't talk to people that we disagree with, we're never going to have common ground. And I think that we have more common ground than we may think. There are certain non-negotiables. There are certain things that I will never change my belief system about. I'm a Bible-believing Christian. I love the Lord Jesus Christ. I am not going to compromise my faith for anybody. I don't care whether it's Republican or a Democrat. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to sacrifice my faith for the expediency of having somebody pat me on the back and say, well, I agree with you, and that's great. I could care less who agrees with me and who don't. I've been doing this long enough to realize applause is so fickle, just like criticism is fickle. The people that are applauding you on Monday are ready to crucify you on Tuesday. And the other half that was applauding, that was criticizing you on Monday, you'll do something and they'll be eating out of your hand on Tuesday, wanting to be your best friend. And that's just people. That's just the way the world is. That's just the way life is. Same way in politics. I was very skeptical. I really was. And I was really curious how this was going to go down today. Am I any less concerned about Mandami than I was earlier today? Not really. But I do believe that, and I told Carol Smith, you were the one that asked this question last night. Carol asked me about the meeting, and I said this, that I was hoping and praying and this is what I was hoping for today, that Trump could talk some sense into this communist kid. And I came away feeling that he may have made a dent. He may not have convinced him fully. And I appreciate what Mandami said. He said, look, we got differences. And he said, we got major differences with each other. But Mandami is not dumb, knowing that he can't do this in New York City. He's going to have help. And he can, folks, think about this. He can either be the worst mayor in New York's history, or this kid can come to his senses. He's got youth. He's got energy. He can be a very tremendous influence. And I got to say this to the believers out here. I know some of you don't want to hear what I'm about to tell you. And I've been guilty of this. I'm going to say this to myself. We've said a lot of negative things about Zoman Mandami. And I have said some pretty negative things about him on this show. I don't like his ideology. I'm scared of his ideology. I think it's a dangerous ideology. This country was not based on socialism. It was not built on socialism. It was not founded on socialism. It was not founded on communism. We have fought war after war after war. Blood of millions have been shed to keep these communist countries in check in Vietnam, and we fought the Korean War in the 50s to basically stop this communist spread. We've been involved with the Cold War with Russia for nearly 3 decades, and we're still in it tonight. It's not as pronounced it was during the Reagan years, but multiple deaths have resulted as a result of this communist spread. So this is not to say that I have lessened my guard and I trust the communists to do the right thing. I don't trust the communists to breathe and do the right thing. But the Lord spoke to my heart again tonight, just like he did about 4 years ago. It was Joe Biden. It was around 22, I guess, when this happened, when he spoke to me about Joe Biden. And I just felt tonight that we, the church, if we will pray, and Cleo, I know you're out there. I know you'll get that verse for me. It's from Proverbs, the Psalms. The heart of the king is in God's hands. The Lord has the heart of the king in his hands. And if we will pray for this young man, and we will seek God on the nation's behalf, if we'll seek God on behalf of New York City and say, Lord, this young man has got a terrible view of the world, and we need you to help him, and we need you to change his heart and touch his heart, open his eyes to what's right. I saw a young man this afternoon, and I looked at that young man, and I know some of you, this is just me personally, I'm not saying you have to look at him this way, but I saw my son in that White House, because again, he's the same age as Brandon. He's the same age as Josh, my oldest, and I looked at that kid today, and I for the first time, I saw him in a different light, and I said, you know, Lord, I said, we've not been praying for him. We've been criticizing him. And yes, we can, folks, we can be opposed and diametrically opposed and stand against his theology and his ideology. My loved one that I love dearly, and I don't disown them because they have this weird view of the world. They're no different than him. And again, this is just this. It's just we have very little interaction because of this. I pray for them. They're not going to change my belief. I've tried to talk reasonably to them. They're not budging, but I don't stop loving them. And I think this is just a suggestion. I know some of you want me to come on here and say he's the devil and the Antichrist. Well, he ultimately may turn out to be, I don't know, not the Antichrist. He may be the worst thing that's ever happened in New York City. I think it remains to be seen. But I will tell you what happened today. If nothing else, they have at least opened a dialogue with each other. Now, whether Trump gets across to him and whether Trump helps him is a whole different ball of wax. One thing, the only thing that concerned me with Trump today that I heard, and I've watched this myself, and maybe some of you have too, the statement that he made that was most concerning to me coming from Trump was when he was talking about his first term. And he said, I have changed a lot since my first term. I've changed my mind on some things since the first time. And he said, we've had a great economy. And I think that he's moderated back more to the center. Trump was trying to govern from the far right in that first term, where many of us are on the right side of the spectrum. We're on the conservative side of the spectrum. We as believers, we are basically pro-life, pro-faith people, and so forth. I'm not even saying this as a criticism of Trump, but I think that what's happening, folks, and this too was where we need to pray for him. Instead of us criticizing President Trump and calling him every name in the book and saying the things we do, we need to pray for him right now, because I do believe, and we're going to talk with Ricky Wilson about this Monday night, I think there are forces in this nation, spiritual forces, not people, but spiritual forces. We don't war with flesh and blood. We deal with spiritual entities. We deal with spiritual principalities, powers, wickedness in high places. And there are forces that are trying to sway him to go left. I don't doubt that. And I'm praying that his faith is renewed and his faith is strengthened right now. I just saw a young man today. It was maybe just wishful thinking. And please understand, these opinions are mine. You don't have to hold on to them. You can still think he's the devil if you want to. It's fine. I'm not going to fall out with you if you do. But I saw something on a higher plane tonight, and I saw it this afternoon, and I said, Lord, we've not been praying for him. And I remember that day just like it was yesterday, sitting in my car. I've shared this story with you. I had a shirt in my hand I was going to buy, and I was actually buying it to wear on this show as to make fun of Joe Biden. And I was going to the counter to buy the shirt, and it was a saying that somebody was saying, "Let's go, Brandon," or they were saying something, you Biden, okay, and the reporter asked him, "What do you hear what they're saying?" He said, "What were they saying? Were they saying 'Let's go, Brandon'?" He thought they were saying "Let's go, Brandon." They thought he was talking about the race car driver. Well, everybody in the world started getting "Let's go, Brandon" shirts to say something, you Biden. And I had that shirt in my hand, and I was walking to the counter, and the Lord, I felt a presence of God in that store strongly come on my heart, and I heard his voice in my spirit, and he said, "Is this going to glorify me tonight on that show? When you put this shirt on, is that going to glorify me?" And I said, "No, Lord, it's not." And I took that shirt, took it back to the rack, walked out. And when I got in the car, I just started weeping, just busted into tears. And I felt the Spirit of God start speaking to me. And that's when he told me that day, he said, "My people, if my people will pray for the American president, I will change his heart." And he said, "My people's not praying for the American president. They are denigrating him. And they are mocking him. They're mocking his health. They're mocking his deficiencies. They're making fun of him." And he said, "I want my people to not do that and pray for him." He said, "If you'll start praying for Joe Biden, I'll change his heart." I did. I'm not saying everybody else did, but it changed me. And I watched more. I was a lot more careful what I said about him, even on this show after that. There were times I went back and had to say, "Lord, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that tonight." And I found myself, I didn't even realize it till today, that I've been doing that same thing about Mandami. We need to be praying for him, folks. We need to be praying for him. I was going to do a sort of a faith-related show tonight anyway, and I think it's good we need to hear that tonight. Need to pray for that young man. We need to pray for that. He's got an awesome responsibility and charge on him. He's going to be in charge of the biggest city in America. And Trump, as good as told him today, I don't know if Mandami got this. I don't know if this went right over his head. I don't know how he took what Trump was saying to him, but I took what Trump was saying to him as, you now have got a crossroads. You can do right, and if you do right by New York, I don't care about your party, I don't care about your politics, I don't even care about your ideology. But if you will do right by the people of New York and rule them right, you're going to have my help. If you don't, it's on you. And I will do everything to stop the damage that you do to the New York people in my power as well. And I think Trump laid out a crossroads to him today. Now, I know that, again, if you heard everything I just said, you will understand that is not Chris telling you that Zoman Mandami's ideology is good. Folks, it is one of the greatest threats to this nation. It is a great communism. It's taken us over from within. Jihadism is taking us over from within. Our legal system, our lawlessness. Trump made him commit today. He even complimented him. He said he rehired the current police chief in New York, and I'll put it like this, on a scale of bad, with 10 being the most bad and 1 being a little bad, she's probably about a 3. At least she's got some sense about her that they're not going to defund the police and they're not going to take the police off. And he did come out. He did not give a strong condemnation of what happened at the East Park Synagogue 2 nights ago, but he did say that kind of rhetoric is not to be found in New York. And I guess you could say that. Now, I'm going to get your take on that shortly. And Pat and Deb, y'all say he's in over his head. He may be, but you're making my point. I don't care if he's over his head or not. We still need to pray for him. That's why we need to pray for him. That's why we need to pray for him. And, I mean, I'm not taking issue with your comment. He probably is over his head. But I saw a young man there this afternoon that he is all in on this socialist communist push. He is. But this is where we, the church, have got to be the church. And we've got to be better. Folks, we can't get in the ditch. We become the left if we keep acting like the left. We become what they have become if we do that. We're people of God. We're better. We're on a higher plane. We operate on a higher plane. We operate on the fact that we love those we don't agree with. We don't have to love their ideology. We don't have to believe what they're saying. And we're vigilant. We're wise as serpents, harmless as doves. And we understand that, and again, folks, I just said it. If this kid goes in there and he goes full feet with what he's promised on this campaign trail, it's going to be a disaster for New York City. And I hope there's nobody out there, and I found myself doing this. I'm not scolding you all tonight. I'm talking to myself. I think we have all been cynical, and we've just wrote New York City off because they've made this choice. Did you realize, I heard today, I don't know if y'all knew this, 1 out of every 10 voters that voted for Trump in 24 voted for Mandami in this mayor's race. I heard an analogy tonight that I think it was Trace Gallagher that asked Jack Posebic, who was in that meeting today. He says, do you believe that Mandami and Trump are the same, even though they got different ideologies? Are they basically the same people? And Jack made a great analogy. He said, they are. Mandami is a populist for his ideology. Trump is a populist for his. Trump himself today said that Bernie Sanders, he got a ton of Bernie Sanders voters. When Bernie Sanders dropped out of that race in 2016, look, folks, Bernie Sanders could have been our president if they wouldn't have taken that primary from him. Bernie would have given Trump a far greater threat than Hillary Clinton. I know we laugh at that, but this country is screaming for a populist leader, and that's why Trump has been so popular. At least he was the first term, and this is what is changing in him a little bit, and I'm concerned he's getting more political, and he needs to go back to those roots and go back to what got him where he's at right now. And these people that are trying to push him into a political situation, it's not good. It's not good. And it has to do with Israel, and I'll get into that. We're going to do a special Tuesday night. We've got Ricky Wilson Monday night. Bill Federer will have a pre-recorded interview with Bill on Tuesday. But we're going to have a special show Tuesday night about anti-Semitism, and the show is going to be dedicated fully to just playing nothing but video of all this Jew hate and all this talk, and just show you what's out there, because it's not good. It's not good what's out there. All right, let me move on. We need to pray for Mandami, and we don't need to write off New York City. I love you folks up there in the Big Apple. It's a beautiful city. It is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful city. There's nothing like, even driving. I drive up there often. I've been up there in the last probably 4 or 5 times just in the last year, going to New England and the conferences. And even driving, when you come across that George Washington Bridge and you look to your left and you see the harbor and you see New York Harbor and you see that Statue of Liberty with her hand up in the sky, and you see the island and you see the buildings there at night, and you see the beautiful, and I've been downtown. I watched the Fox thing tonight with them lighting the Christmas tree, and I've stood right there and right near Radio City, and it's at night. There's just something unique about that city, unlike any other city in America. We don't need to become defeatists. We are people of faith. We are people of faith. Can I get an amen in the house tonight on this late night, Friday night, early Saturday morning? We're people of faith. We're people of faith. We're people of faith. I'll amen myself. Nobody else will amen me. I'll amen myself. And folks, just hang on to your questions. Just hang on to your questions until at the end, please. We'll take your questions. Just listen to me for right now. I'm not going to answer any questions right now, but I will at the end, all right? Now, the other story tonight, a couple of other stories, we're going to play a few videos, is this one right here. Marjorie Taylor Greene has announced she will resign in January, and I'm just going to read this. This is out of Breitbart, and then we're going to read the Gateway Pundit and so forth. Taylor Greene announced that she would be resigning from office in January. She criticized both the Republicans and Democrats, stating that nothing ever gets better for regular Americans. In a statement issued in a post on X, Greene pointed out that no matter which political party's in power, the debt increases, corporate and global interests remain, Washington sweethearts, and American jobs continue to get replaced, whether by illegal aliens or illegal labor, or just shipped overseas. And then she took shots at Israel in this as well tonight. And here's her video. I'll play this and let her say it herself. She can say it better than I can. Roll the tape.
Hi, everyone. I've always represented the common American man and woman as a member of the House of Representatives, which is why I've always been despised in Washington, D.C., and just never fit in. Americans are used by the political industrial complex of both political parties, election cycle after election cycle, in order to elect whichever side can convince Americans to hate the other side more. And the results are always the same. No matter which way the political pendulum swings, Republican or Democrat, nothing ever gets better for the common American man or woman.
This is what makes her resignation so incredibly selfish of her. She's saying all these things about what's wrong with Washington, but yet she is a coward, is going to step down and leave because she didn't get her way. Trump withdrew his endorsement. And folks, let me just come over my screen and tell you about this. And I hate to say this, I really do. It's absolutely incredible to me. She got bitter. This is what bitterness will do to you. This is what bitterness will do to you. She got upset and mad. Last year, she wanted to run for the Senate. Trump told her, you're not going to win. She was down 22 points to John Ossoff in that Georgia primary. And Trump saw the tea leaves, and he told her, he said, you're not going to win. And he didn't endorse her. And it was maybe 20, whenever the Ossoff went into office, I think he went in 22. It was there in the midterms of 22, I think. She got, or 20, it was last year actually. It was last year. She got upset and she changed. It's like, there was just something that happened to her first of this year, and it all started in the summer, and it just hit her relationship with the conservatives and the Republicans started fissuring. But it started when she jumped on the hate Israel train because she became Matt Gaetz in a dress, and she became Stu Peters in a dress. She became Tucker Carlson in a dress. Her and Candace became better. She went on The View of all shows. She went on CNN and apologized to the Democrats for her toxic attitude. And see, it's amazing that this same Marjorie Taylor Greene, there is video after video after video of her with profane rants against the media, against the Democrats, against the left. And, she feels betrayed tonight. She feels like Trump stabbed her in the back. And all Trump was trying to do was speak truth to her, and she didn't want to hear it. So she gets bitter. So she begins this campaign to literally destroy the Republican Party. See, this is going to make it harder. If there was, look, every single thing that happens right now, and I think it was Branko last night, Tony, that said something. We think we've got 3 years with Trump. Folks, I'm going to tell you something. If they lose these midterms, we don't have 3 years with Trump. These Dems are going to impeach him. They are going to try to throw him out of office. They will try to jail him. All of these lawfare cases will come back. I mean, I'm telling you, it's going to be dark, dark times if this midterm goes the wrong way next year. This doesn't help because we've got one less voice now in the House. Now, Kemp, the governor, can appoint somebody, I'm sure, in the short term until the election, or they can hold a special election. But for the first few months of 26, the Republicans they've only got about a 3 or 4 vote margin in the House as it is now. And now it's going to be down to 2. And you can't trust these rhinos. You got Massey, that he's as good as a Democrat anyway. And I watched the comments tonight. And you know what the comments are about Taylor Greene? The people that are sad she's leaving are anti-Semitic. The anti-Semites are upset because this was their champion. She was trying to get America to cut ties financially with Israel. And her idea of America first was that we don't give any money to Israel. And see, I never heard her talking about any of the other foreign donations and none of the other foreign monies that go to other nations, such as Japan or China or the European nations for help. And it was always Israel. Israel, 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 Israel was the big boogeyman. And we're going to talk about this next Tuesday night. The only people that I see out there that are upset about this tonight are anti-Semitic. So you do the math. Now I'm going to play about another minute of this, and then we're going to get to this shooting in Concord and play some video and take your questions. Roll the tape.
The debt goes higher. Corporate and global interests remain Washington's sweethearts. American jobs continue to be replaced, whether it's by illegal labor or legal labor by visas or just shipped overseas. Small businesses continue to be swallowed by big corporations. Americans' hard-earned tax dollars always fund foreign wars, foreign aid, and foreign interests. And the spending power of the dollar continues to decline. The average American family can no longer survive on a single breadwinner's income, as both parents have to work in order to simply survive. And today, many in my children's generation feel hopeless for their future and don't think they will ever realize the American dream. And that breaks my heart. I ran for Congress in 2020 and have fought every single day believing that Make America Great Again meant America first.
And that's not what it totally meant. Folks, America is not the only country in the world. To make America great again, we're the world superpower. And let me just say this. I'm going to just take what she just said, and I'm going to give you a little biblical lesson tonight, a little Bible nugget, as our Bible students love to hear me say in the morning. America can't be great again if America's not godly again. America can't be first if we put God last. If we do the things that displease the Lord, I don't care what is in office and who's in office, America will never be great. I know it's a phrase that President Trump coined, and it's a phrase that was given to him, and that became the sort of the campaign mantra of the first administration, and it's still, we don't hear it as much right now. Now we're hearing golden age and utopia, and I've even seen that sort of wane a little bit over this last 6 months. I think that there's some reality sitting in that this is not going to be the cakewalk that everybody thought it would be in this second term. He's hit some headwinds. I'm going to give you two quick things because I don't want to keep you till 3 o'clock. I would normally tell you I'm not going to keep you to midnight. It's already past midnight now, so I already kept you past midnight tonight because we started at midnight. So I'll just say I won't keep it till 3. But I want you to listen to me. America was founded, folks, for 2 reasons: to spread the gospel to the nations of the earth. We were the only nation God saw in His foreknowledge when He founded this country in 1776. By the way, 250 years old this next coming year. We will turn 250 years old. God knew that this nation would be the one that would have the resources to take His message to the entirety of the world, unlike any other nation would be. It really started with England because England sent their missionaries here first, and that revival fire that came from the English evangelists like Moody and Spurgeon and the Wesleys and other English evangelists, Billy Sunday, it came over here, it erupted, and the revival fires of the 1800s, early 1900s, the Church of Philadelphia, when you look at the story in Revelation, it's the church at Philadelphia, and that church was the evangelistic missionary church. Jesus had nothing bad to say about it. God knew that that would be the catalyst for the great explosion of the gospel. We were sending missionaries and millions, perhaps billions of dollars through the giving of the churches and the giving of the saints of God to world evangelism that has brought in multiple billions of people into the kingdom of God over the last 150 years of our existence. That was number one. Number two, and I've moved it over here, was this little tiny nation right here. God knew in His foreknowledge that in 1948 that Israel would be reformed as a nation. I'm not going to get into this tonight. I will deal with it more Tuesday night about these anti-Semitic voices and these godless teachers and these godless prophets and these godless evangelists that are claiming that there's no significance of 1948, that the reformation of Israel don't mean anything, that we dispensationalists, and they always they're blaming Schofield, the dispensationalism, Darby. I hear all these modern names that they claim are the people that put it in our head about Israel. No, the one that put it in our head that Israel's important, I think, is called Jehovah. Because Jehovah God told a man named Abraham that his descendants, not just Abraham, but his descendants would be blessed and those that cursed him would be cursed. We're going to talk about this Sunday night. But America's job, one of the reasons we were also created, God knew that Israel would be surrounded by a world of the ancient hatred of Ezekiel 35 in this Arab world tonight. He knew exactly what would take place. Don't think none of this has caught the Lord off guard. It has not. It has not. He created us to be that buffer, to stand in the gap, and to protect her, and to protect her interests. And again, this is not a political statement, neighbor. This is a spiritual statement. I'll play something for you in a minute when I get done with this. I'm going to play about another minute of Margie. I'm not going to play that whole 10-minute clip. But when I hear her say things like, well, I signed up to make America great and I thought that meant America first, that is somebody that has a wrong view of why America's here to begin with. She has no clue. She has no clue. Make America great again and make America first is not a selfish declaration. It's a declaration that we've made God first. That we've made God first. And if you hate Israel, and you trash Israel, and you slander Israel, and you blood libel Israel, and you hang out with anti-Semites like Mr. Green started doing here this past year, you go insane. Ask Candace Owens. Ask Tucker Carlson. Ask the Hodge twins. We've got videos we're going to do with this Tuesday night, strong and head on. These people, you open the door to insanity. She's not even talking and thinking right. I used to have a lot of respect for her. I've lost all respect for her. I've got none for her tonight. And I think she's a coward for quitting. Because if she's so concerned about these things, why don't she stay and fight? Because she's bitter. And she wants to take her vengeance out, and she wants to tear the Republican movement down. She wants to burn everything down. And that's what people who are bitter, that's what they do. They don't want nothing but destruction. They don't want nothing but complete annihilation of those they're bitter at. And this is what she's wanting. This is why she bears false witness all the time about President Trump. She's insinuating. She's no more better than these liars about Epstein. She's out there sort of insinuating the same thing. That's what bitter people do. One more minute of this.
I have one of the most conservative voting records in Congress, defending the First Amendment, Second Amendment, unborn babies, because I believe God creates life at conception, and I love to fight for the little guy. Strong, safe borders, I have fought hard for that. I fought against COVID tyrannical insanity and mandated mass vaccinations, and I've never voted to fund foreign wars with your hard-earned tax dollars. However, with almost 1 year into our majority, the legislature has been mostly sidelined. We endured an 8-week shutdown, wrongly, resulting in the House not working for the entire time, and we are entering campaign season, which means all courage leaves and only safe campaign re-election mode is turned on in the House of Representatives.
That's just being hypocritical. Courage is gone, so everybody leaves. Well, what are you doing, Miss Green? What are you doing? I'm from Georgia. I'm a fellow Georgian. What are you doing? You're blaming the Senate and the House for being a bunch of cowards. Or what are you doing? What are you doing?
During the longest shutdown in our nation's history, I raged against my own speaker and my own party for refusing to proactively work diligently to pass the plan to save Americans' health care and protect Americans.
She was trying to protect Obamacare, the absolute worst Ponzi scheme in American history. That's what she was fighting to save. She was upset, and she's using that as a crutch to hide the bitterness of her heart. We read a verse last week in the chat, or in the Bible study, that those that hide hatred with lying lips are fools. What she's saying here tonight is foolish. It's not about the health care. It's not about the shutdown. It's not about the babies. It's not about all of her conservative voting record. Marjorie Taylor Greene is ticked to high heaven that Trump withdrew his endorsement, and Trump, as she feels like, betrayed her. And she is a scorned woman.
From outrageous, overpriced, and unaffordable health insurance policies. The House should have been in session working every day to fix this disaster.
Well, Marjorie, you've been in Congress since 2020. Why haven't you done it already? Why haven't you and your constituents done this already? You had the House with Trump in the first term. You wasn't there, but the Republicans had both houses. And the Democrats could fix it too. They're the ones that created this mess. Why are you blaming the Republicans? This ain't the Republicans' fault. It's not the Republicans to clean up. They're doing everything they can. They've tried to clean it up. And by the way, while I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and say this about this. Trump, there is a report out, and I don't doubt this. Trump had talked to Hakeem Jeffries and Schumer before they shut the government down. He had actually had a meeting with them in private right before the shutdown and told them, I'm willing to sit down with you and let's fix Obamacare if we can work together. And he told him, he said, I'm not going to keep financing, we're not going to keep financing this Ponzi scheme to the American people, but if you're willing to just scrap it and let's rebuild something, we'll talk. They refused. She's blaming Trump. She's blaming the Republicans. I'm not saying they're not without fault. It wasn't the Republican care. Marge, do I need to remind you? I know you wasn't around when this happened, but this was Obamacare. The Democrats did this. They created their own Titanic. They created this Ponzi scheme that was doomed to fail from the start. We told people that. Conservatives warned the nation about it. We warned the senators about it. We warned the representatives about it. This is going to implode. You can't sustain this. And guess what? We're 15 years later, and we found that out the hard way. We can't. These subsidies, folks, some of you that's on Obamacare, thank God I'm not anymore. But you folks in January, you better be puckering up, because your health care is about to triple. And you're gonna be paying, some of you are gonna be paying anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000, maybe more a month, just for basically a major catastrophic health care plan. You're not even gonna get a bunch of the smaller stuff with these. A lot of these plans are nothing but just major catastrophic plans in the event you have to go to the hospital for something major. So I'm few more minutes. I can't stomach much more of this, but I'm just listening. I'm trying to let her say in her own words and just tell you that this is, and I'm not saying this disparagingly about her. I don't know the woman. There's some personal things I can say about her. I'm not going to get into that road, but this is why we hate politicians. This is why we despise politicians. They're political cowards when they don't get their way.
But instead, America was force-fed disgusting political drama once again from both sides of the aisle on television every single day. My bills, which reflect many of President Trump's executive orders, like calling for a new census counting Americans only to draw new districts, making English the official language of the U.S., making it a felony to medically trans a minor, and other bills like eliminating capital gains taxes on the sale of your primary home and eliminating H-1B visas. Just sit. They all sit collecting dust.
All right. I'm going to stop it right there. I'll play this more Monday night because we'll have a late show Monday night after Ricky. I'll go back to Margie, but I'm going to say this. One thing I will agree with her about on this. These executive orders must be codified into law. That is on the Republicans. That I agree with her about. And whether it was her bill or anybody else's bill, the Republicans have got to codify these bills. Now, a couple of videos I want to play for you tonight. This is President Trump today with Mandami. Roll the tape.
Are you affirming that you think President Trump is a fascist?
I've spoken about...
That's okay, you can just say yes. Okay. It's easier. It's easier than explaining it. I don't mind.
Did you hear that? They asked him, what do you confirm that President Trump is a fascist? Watch this again.
Are you affirming that you think President Trump is a fascist?
I've spoken about...
That's okay, you can just say yes.
Okay.
That's okay, you can just say yes. See, I know a lot of the conservatives went up in the air about that. I watched X go up in smoke about Trump giving him a lifeline. He could have embarrassed Mandami there. He could have said something ugly. He could have went to toe with him. And you see, that's the diplomatic thing to do. And I hate to use this analogy tonight, folks. Sometimes you got to have an adult in the house. All this name calling is not doing anybody any good. All these Hitler talks and these fascist talks and dictator talks about things as it used to be. I'm getting some video issues here, so pardon me here if we lose you, because we have got a little bit of a internet. We've got weather, so bear with us here. We got weather, but anyway. But that was Trump today. Now this is another video of them in the White House today, and this may be the same one. I'm not sure, but this is him and Mandami.
But I just want to congratulate. I think you're going to have hopefully a really great mayor. The better he does, the happier I am. I will say there's no difference in party. There's no difference in anything, and we're going to be helping him to make everybody's dream come true, having a strong and very safe New York. And congratulations, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Please.
I appreciated the meeting with the President, and as he said, it was a productive meeting focused on a place of shared admiration and love, which is New York City, and the need to deliver affordability to New Yorkers, the 8.5 million people who call our city their home, who are struggling to afford life in the most expensive city in the United States of America. We spoke about rent, we spoke about groceries, we spoke about utilities, we spoke about the different ways in which people are being pushed out, and I appreciated the time with the president, I appreciated the conversation, I look forward to working together to deliver that affordability for New Yorkers.
Now that part of that statement, this affordability thing, that's communist talk. That's commie talk. Because that's the big thing about the Marxist plan. The difference in the two visions of Trump and Mandami is very simple. Trump is all about affordability. But Trump is about you and I getting out there, doing the best we can to work, doing the best we can to make the best of our lives, to earn a living, to make our lives better. And as we take responsibility for this, and the nation's working and contributing to society and contributing, and the government helping when it can, and helping get prices down, and it really goes back to oil cost, and there's several variables that go into this. But the difference in the two views is this: Mandami's idea of affordability is that he takes money from the rich and he gives it to the poor. That's communism. In other words, there's no responsibility with the people under communism. The communist view is you depend on the government, and the government does it for you. Trump's view of making things affordable is you get out and work and put money and invest in your own government, and you invest in your life, and you do the things you need to do, and we help you do what we can by regulating and getting costs down and getting our dependency on ourselves, not on somebody else. Those are two opposed viewpoints. So when you hear affordability coming out of their mouth, Zoran's affordability is a communist, that's a commie word, because that's what they believe. It's a Robin Hood thing. You take from the rich, give it to the poor, and makes everything affordable. We give it to you, we pay for it, but you got to have money, because nothing's free. Nothing is free, and I think you all understand that. You understand there. And Elaine, you're right. There goes the budget. It's about the budget. And that's where he's got problems, Elaine. That's exactly what I'm saying. He's got problems with the budget because they don't have the money in New York to finance this stuff. They're not going to have it. And David, as much as Hochul has admitted it, I think Hochul is having buyer's remorse. She was all giddy about this kid. And I think that she is recognizing that it's going to fall on the state of New York to have to finance some of these grand ideas of his, and she's not willing to do it right now. And again, folks, this is where at least they're talking. At least Trump maybe talked some sense into this kid's head. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, if you ask Chris McDonald, do you believe this is going to turn out good for New York City? I'm at about a 4 right now. I was probably at a 2 yesterday, maybe a 1.5. I'm up to about a 3. I'm going to go. I'll scoot that 4 back to a 3. I'm still about a 3 because it remains to be seen how this kid's going to do and what he's going to do. And this may all be. And look, I am not naive to believe that this could have all just been a show today in that White House. There's a possibility that all these comments I'm saying about it being false and him fake, it's folks, you may be ultimately proven right. But this is why we as children of God, we must pray for this kid and pray that New York City don't get destroyed. It's not the first time that God has had people on this earth interceding for cities. I think a man by the name of Abraham did that. Even though Sodom ultimately was destroyed, God was going to destroy it right off the bat, and Abraham got him down to 5 souls. He said, if I can just find 5 souls, would you spare it? He said, I'll spare it if you can find 5. Abraham only found 3. Lot and his 2 daughters. The wife left, but she had Sodom in her heart. All righty. A couple more things. This is the shooting tonight. I've not had a chance to talk to you about this. We're getting details on this. We'll follow this for the weekend, and we'll mention this Monday night. But this is a scene from Concord, North Carolina tonight. 6 people have been shot, and I think this is that's that. But I think this is the video of the concert of what happened. This was at a Christmas tree lighting.
Everybody move!
That was a concert. You heard the shots outside. The shots were being fired at a Christmas tree lighting. I'm going to play that back. The Christmas tree lighting was right beside this stage. This was an outdoor stage. Listen to the shots.
Everybody move! Get out! Everybody out!
What do you think we're trying to do?
Everybody!
Looks like we lost sound on that. Hang on.
Everybody move! Get out! Everybody out!
What do you think we're trying to do?
Everybody!
And the video loses sound there, but you can see the chaos ensuing. The people are running away. As of right now, this was right before we came on. There have been reports of casualties tonight. We don't know how many. We understand that 6 people were in. We know at least 6 were injured or shot. Multiple dozens were injured when the crowd. So we're following this story, and we'll post any updates on the Telegram room that we get this weekend. Follow us on Telegram. I do want to play one thing. I've got so much to talk about, but it is late tonight. I don't know if you saw this or not, but this is, let me get over here. I want to just play this to illustrate the slander that is going on by the left continually about President Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. We've not talked about that tonight a lot, but this video is from MSNBC. I just had it downloaded, and I'm trying to find it. But they were, the MSNBC host was talking. There it is right there. Give me 1 minute. Let me just download this right here and play this for you. I want you to listen to the absolute slander against President Trump regarding Jeffrey Epstein. I want you to listen to this very carefully. Watch this.
I'm going to be honest with you guys. I actually went through the files this weekend in depth. Donald Trump is not only named over and over in them.
He's not named over and over in them. But this gets worse.
It is discussed this trial in which he was accused of raping a 13-year-old at Epstein.
He was accused of raping a 13-year-old. Wow. You mean people accuse people of rape like that and just throw rape charges out there? Oh, yeah, they do.
Epstein's house. There is extensive discussions about a subpoena of Donald Trump in one of Jeffrey Epstein's cases in which...
Total lie. Fabrication. If I put it like this, if that was true, do you not think that the Dems would have had that on every billboard ad in 24 when he was running against Kamala? Do you not think that they would have had that even in 2020? They would have been running that in 2016. They had these files, folks. Merrick Garland had these files. Joe Biden had these files. Eric Holder had these files. All these people had these files. Do you not think that we'd have heard about this by now? That Trump was a rapist. He had raped a 13-year-old. They claim, and the people, and I've been noticing this on Instagram, more and more of these Instagram accounts are basically anti-Trump. So they're framing this that the Epstein files contain evidence. It does not contain evidence, neighbor. This is hearsay, slander, and this is false witness. I hope he sues this network. And I hope he I don't know who the lady is. I hope he sues her. He needs to.
He was accused for rape and sexual abuse. He was subpoenaed and gave a deposition in that case. There is extensive discussion between Donald Trump, Ghislaine Maxwell, and Mr. Wolf about not only Trump coming to his house, but Epstein says in these emails that he has photographs of Trump with girls.
That is absolutely false. Elaine, your point is so well taken. If that was the case, Kamala Harris would be our president tonight. Joe Biden would still be our president tonight. That's how ugly this gets. By the way, lest I remind you that in Epstein's files, he gave 89% to Democrats. You know how much he gave to Trump's campaign? A big old zero. Zilch. There was no campaign donation from Jeffrey Epstein to Trump. 89% went to Democrats. Let me remind you that this picture of Bill Clinton, this perverse picture of number 42, I think Clinton was 42, Bush 43. Yeah, Bush was 43, Obama 44, Trump 45. So this is the 42nd president in a lady's dress, sitting on a chair. Jeffrey Epstein took that picture. But there's another picture that they were found that nobody talks about, and it's George Bush Jr. That was also in the files. It's amazing the media don't talk about Bush, and I'll tell you why. Because Bush is out there tonight saying that his family, are you ready for this one? That they're going to revamp and reshape the Republican Party once Trump's gone. That they're going to rebrand the Republican. They're going to take back the Republican Party. These bunch of rhinos and a bunch of weasels at Dick Cheney's funeral yesterday, it was if you've ever seen Star Wars and Obi-Wan Kenobi is looking at Luke and they're going into this hive of nothing but gangsters and villains, and he said, you'll never see a greater village of scum and villainy. Well, you would have never seen a greater village of scum and villainy than you saw at that Dick Cheney funeral yesterday. I've only seen one picture of Trump and Melania with Epstein, and that was way, way back in 2013. It was before he was ever convicted. He wasn't even charged with anything at that point. That's a perverse picture of the former president right there. But mind I remind you that 89% of his donations went to Democrats. 0 went to the Trump campaign. I don't know where the other 11% went, but anyway, that is hideous. And folks, can I tell you something? I watched the comments on this video. People believe this. They believe it tonight. Christians believe this tonight. Christians believe this tonight. We talked this morning about what happens to people when they believe false witnesses and how we judge things based upon false witness. That is nothing but complete 100% slander. That is total defamation of character. All righty. Now, I do want to play one other quick thing. This is the lady that got charged $5 million fraud. She took $5 million from FEMA, and this is why she says she got arrested for stealing $5 million from FEMA.
Opposed to my day in court so I can prove myself and actually state the truth. But if this is what Congress is becoming, where they're always trying to intimidate you, scare tactics, especially attacking minorities, black and brown people.
Because she's black.
Then we're going to have to keep fighting for the district. And everybody has been giving me so much support. And we're going to keep fighting until the district gets what it needs, which is fair prices,
fair prices, housing,
fair representation of Congress.
Yeah. Commie talk. Commie talk. $5 million, not pocket change, folks. $5 million in FEMA funds she took. North Carolina, by the way. I think, Elaine, this is one of your folks over there. One of your representatives or senators, she's in trouble tonight, and that was during all that time. She took the money in 2020 to run her 2021 campaign. But she is saying that she's being targeted by race because she's black. Commie talk. Racial talk. Racial talk. I want to show you one quick thing, and then I'm going to take your questions. You're going to be putting those in there right now. We're getting late in the game tonight. It's getting late, and let's see here. What did I just do? Goodness gracious, hang on just a second. I had that up. Oh, goodness. Give me 1 second here, folks. I wanted to download this. This is Richard Nixon, way back in 1973. I want to play this because this is going to be sort of a theme that we're going to be talking about Tuesday night, and we don't want you to miss this. This is going to be some good stuff when we can talk about this. Here he is right here. Some of these videos I've got so many of them, they're back up on the screen here. I want to play something for you folks, and I want you to listen to this very carefully, what Richard Nixon had to say about the Jewish nation, and then I got something to say about this, and I'll take your questions. Roll the tape.
Explain something about what is called the Jewish lobby in this country. Their belief is that being for Israel first, that does not mean you're putting America second. An American president, however, has to approach it in a different way, in my opinion. He's got always to think first of what is best for America. An American president must make a decision that does not, in effect, give the Israelis a blank check. And one example of that is a decision that I made. I decided early on in our administration that we were going to seek good relations with Egypt and others of Israel's neighbors.
All of Israel's neighbors are Israel's enemies. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. At that time, Egypt was Israel's avowed enemy. Play this on out because I got something to say about this.
Many of my Israeli friends didn't like that because they wanted a special relationship with Israel and Israel only.
And that's not true. That's not true. Israel didn't want America to be, or Israel didn't want, and she still doesn't want to have relations just with America. Israel is a nation to herself. But let me tell you this, folks. This goes beyond the Israel only, America only thing. It goes back to Marjorie Taylor Greene's theology about America first and America only. It's one thing to have the best interest for America at heart. I've got the best interest of America at heart. But our best interest is when we don't support Israel's enemies. Now, I'm going to ask you a question out there tonight. That was 1973. Somebody tell me, what happened to Nixon? What happened to Nixon? It was from Florida, Elaine, it was. What happened to Nixon in 1974? Somebody want to tell me what happened to him months after that, when he made that statement? Anybody want to put that in the chat for me? See if I got any history buffs. What happened to Israel? Or what happened to Nixon after that? In 1974. 1974. Watergate. There you go, Stephen. Stephen's as old as I am. He remembers it. Watergate. Watergate. It was less than 6 months after he made that declaration that Richard Nixon resigned in disgrace. Being America first does not mean supporting Israel's enemies. I'm not saying we need to give a blank check to Israel. I heard Bibi Netanyahu say this just last week. He don't want America's money. He don't want America's check. I think it's a given Israel's getting sort of tired of America handing them a check with this hand and taking a knife with this other hand and telling Israel, we give you the money. That's what Bush Sr. did. And forcing Israel to give up land to her enemies and give up land to people that want to kill her. And I think that it is good that they cut the financial strings off. I warn our nation tonight, we're going to talk about this Tuesday. We better understand there's a concept. The very thing as you have done to Israel, so shall it be done to you. That's Obadiah. God told Edom that. Just as you've done to your brother, it's going to be done to you. And these godless pastors and these godless prophets that want to twist that and try to make it into their own theology that we don't need to support Israel. Let them go ahead and do it. I'm not going to fight with them. But I wanted to play that video. That's what happened to him less than 6 months after he said that. I'll let you fill in the blank and do the math on that and think on that one. All right. I'm not done, but I'm done. It's late. It's almost 12:30, almost 1:30. Any questions? Lisa, he did resign. August the 9th, 1974. Thank you, Cleo. He resigned August the 9th. I never will forget that night. I was sitting in my daddy's study late at night. Him and Mama were there in my bedroom. I was in my bedroom. It was summertime. And Daddy called Mama into the house, or called her into the room and said, look at this. And I remember him sitting at that desk. I would have been 9 years old. And sad day for our country. We really never recovered from Watergate, to be frank with you. That was a fissure. That was a fissure in this nation that's never been really recovered. But that video that I showed you took place in the winter of 1973. It was right after the 6-Day War. I encourage you to watch the movie Golda. Helen Mirren stars as Golda Meir. It's a tremendously well-documented story of the 6-Day War of 1973, which was on the anniversary when they launched the October the 7th attack of 2023. They did it 50 years to the day of the Yom Kippur War, not the 6-Day War, but the Yom Kippur War of 73. That statement that Nixon made was made shortly after that war, and it was less than 8 months that he was out. He was out as president. So, anyway, thank you, Cleo. Good to see you tonight. Obadiah 1:15, for the day of the Lord upon all the nations is near. As you have done, it shall be done to you. Your reprisal shall return upon your own head. And he is speaking in context of their handling of the nation of Israel. All right, you got any questions, any comments? Yes, Elaine Hillary was involved in that. Dennis says, Marjorie Taylor Greene is simply looking for fame and fortune and wanting a spot in Trump's administration. Dennis, she's not getting that, and I don't think it's about that. I think that I don't see her recovering from this. You may be right. I just don't see Trump. There's not going to be an olive branch from Trump. He withdrew his nomination from her. Look, if you disagree, and I got to say this, Mandami and Trump, like on a scale, they're like this on views. What Mandami believes, what Trump believes, they're this far apart. Okay. But they at least had the common sense. And by the way, Mandami asked Trump, could he meet with him? And you got to give the kid the credit for that. This was not a meeting that Trump asked for. Mandami asked for it. He wanted to come talk to Trump. If Marjorie Taylor Greene is so upset, why can't she be an adult, pick up the phone, express her anger, express her displeasure, but sit down in the White House like an adult, and talk to Trump. And find out. Say, Mr. President, I was hurt that you withdrew your endorsement. What have I done? What can we do to fix this? If she truly cares about the country, Dennis, if she truly cares, and you're right, she don't, that's what she'd do. Mandami don't even care about the country. He claims he cares about New York City. At least he tried to talk. We out here, I'm looking at an 88 to 12% that most of you feel like he was lying anyway. Okay, well, maybe he was lying, and I'm not going to say I probably would vote the same way. I would. At least he tried to talk. We can't get Marjorie Taylor Greene to pick up the phone. We can't get any of these people to pick up the phone and come and just sit down with Trump and have a conversation. I don't think she can be in the Trump administration. The only thing I see Marjorie Taylor Greene being is the next host of The View. That's where what she's headed for, Dennis, is the host of The View and I tell you what's going to happen. MSNBC or one of these liberal rag networks will pick her up and she'll spend the rest of her year trashing Trump and the Republicans. That's probably what's going to happen. That's what bitter people do. That's what bitter, unforgiving, and classless, cowardly people do. And that's what she is, in my opinion. That is what she does, in my opinion. Elaine, you're right. Hillary was involved with the research for the prosecution team in that case. She was. And it was very sad, too, because she sort of, that was her career. Her career got started with that. And from what I understand, they kicked her off that team for doing things that was unethical against Nixon. And then when her husband got impeached over the Lewinsky situation, about the lies about he told that grand jury or whatever, she was all too quick to claim it was a right-wing conspiracy when she had led a conspiracy against Nixon. That's what, again, makes our politics so ugly and toxic in this nation. You're right. It's a good history lesson. And she is from Florida. Elaine, I meant to say that. She wasn't from North Carolina. That is correct. Anyway, let's see here. Lisa, I remember when he resigned too. I was young. I was a kid. Any questions, any comments tonight? We're going to wrap it up. The Coupon Cat says, I voted for Bernie in 2016 primary and then switched to Trump in general and voted for Trump in all 3 elections. That's good. David, you asked, do I think the president's chief of staff is a wolf in sheep's clothing? What chief of staff are you talking about? Stephen Miller? No, I don't. I like Stephen Miller. I don't know why you would think that. I think Stephen Miller has done nothing but support the president. Look, folks, I'm pretty certain that most of his cabinet, I've got my opinion about a few of them, but for the most part, Trump's cabinet is working with him, not against him. That is one thing I will say that's been better this time than the first time, is that he has so many backstabbers in that first administration, he couldn't see straight. I mean, truly, it was absolutely ridiculous. The backstabbing and the betrayals. And by the way, I've heard the word traitor come up many times with Marjorie Taylor Greene. Let me remind you that a sign of the last days is that men will become haughty, high-minded, and traitors. Betrayal is part of the last days. Jesus said it in Matthew. He confirmed it. He said, many will betray one another, and because the love of many will wax, because of iniquity, the love of many will wax cold. Men will betray one another. We're seeing that play out in our world tonight. I know it's late. It's 1:30. I hope you've enjoyed the late show tonight. If you have, put some fire in that house. And Susan, thank you, Cleo. That's maybe who he's referring to. Susan Wiles, RFK Jr. just defended her against accusations. She is supporting Big Pharma. Thank you, Cleo. I didn't know that. I didn't know about that, but thank you, my friend. Good to see you tonight. It's daytime in Australia. It's already Saturday. Day down there, afternoon. Yes, I was not aware of that, but I guess that's who David's referring to. No, David, I don't believe she's a wolf in sheep's clothing. I don't. I think she's been very good for Trump. And folks, let me just say this, and I'm glad Cleo brought that up. This accusation, and it goes back to the lady on MSNBC that just claimed that the Epstein files showed that he raped a 13-year-old girl, that there was conclusive proof of that. I mean, she didn't even say that we think that's in there. She just come out and said I've seen it, it's there, he did it, he's a rapist. Well, they do the same thing to his cabinet. And folks, all of this is dividing and destroying the MAGA movement and the Republican Party. And what's going to happen, folks, we're going to get what we asked for. I want to leave you on this. We're going to keep doing this stuff, and we're going to get what we asked for. We're going to get 100 Mandamis. We're going to get 100 commies running our country. And eventually, they're not just going to run Congress. You're going to have somebody hosting an Arab flag at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. If we keep this mess up. That's why we, the church, need to act like the church. And we need to stay away from this slander and gossip and accusation and backbiting and being carried away with these false accusations and becoming a tool and a voice of the devil. And act like our Father God instead of the world's father, who is Satan. He's a liar, a slanderer, a murderer, and a thief. And I'll leave that alone on a Friday night. Michigan Lifestyle says, never ever underestimate the enemy. I've always have your enemies closer. Always read it between the lines. Think outside the sandbox. Well, yep, I guess you could say that. If you enjoyed the show, say amen, somebody. We're grateful to have you. And Dennis David Wilkerson's book is good, The Vision. I've read that. Listen, folks, we'll see you back here later tonight for a Saturday night gospel sing. We'll have a time of prayer together. And we're going to have a very special Wednesday night prayer service next week. We've got Ricky Wilson Monday night. We've got Bill Federer, if we can get Bill to record Monday with us. Tuesday night, he'll wrap us up for the week. And then we'll have Thanksgiving, and we'll give you a chance to enjoy some time with your family and take a break from this redneck. Don't forget, December the 1st through the 5th, we will be on at 8 o'clock with a fall-winter revival. Everything will be faith that week. We'll put this news aside unless there's just something major breaking, and we'll do that. We'll do a late show over it. But I think we need some faith, and I think we need to just have some time to worship and have a renewal. And it's Sunday. It'll be Sunday morning meeting time, 5 straight nights. We had one in March, and the response was great. The Lord's already beginning to deal with my heart about some messages for that week. And so we encourage you to join us on the Faith Network tomorrow night to listen to some gospel music, and then all weekend on Sunday morning and Sunday night. Thank you. God bless you. God bless your families. God bless this great nation of America. And since Cleo's in the house, God bless Australia. We appreciate you, friend. Love you. And thank you for being up with us tonight. And we're grateful to have you. And we'll see you back here later. Probably about 7, 8, 9 o'clock tonight. Probably around 8 or so, because we're going to play some music for a few hours, and then Sunday morning meeting time. Got a great sermon planned for tomorrow, Sunday, and then Sunday night we'll be teaching on Israel in the church. God bless you out there. Again, thank you for being up late with us. Sorry for the late hour, but grateful we got to talk to you a little bit, and thank you for your comments to us. Have a good night, everybody. Be blessed out there. Good night.